In the mid-20th century, the world witnessed one of the greatest competitions in history, the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was a race fueled by rivalry, ambition, and the desire to prove which superpower would dominate the final frontier of space.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, main engine start, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis to assemble the framework for the science laboratories of tomorrow.
The space race catapulted NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, into the global spotlight. Established in 1958 in response to the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik, the world's first artificial satellite, NASA quickly became the symbol of American innovation and the quest for knowledge beyond Earth. But today a new player has entered the arena, one that has upended traditional space exploration. SpaceX, founded by billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk, is challenging NASA's dominance and redefining what it means to reach for the stars. So who's winning the new age space race? To understand today's space race, we must look back at its origins. It all began on October 4th, 1957, when the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, a 23-inch basketball-sized satellite that shocked the world. It had only been just over 50 years since the Wright brothers had first taken flight. The United States, caught off guard by this technological feat, was thrust into a race for space supremacy. In response, President John F. Kennedy boldly declared that America would not only match the Soviets but surpass them by sending a man to the moon before the end of the 1960s.
If I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival.
NASA was tasked with this monumental challenge.
We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe. To ignore these great resources would be a corruption of a God-given ability.
NASA's Apollo program became the focal point of this ambition. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, developing new technologies, overcoming setbacks and pushing the boundaries of human ingenuity. On July the 20th, 1969, their efforts culminated in one of humanity's greatest achievements, the Apollo 11 moon landing. Neil Armstrong's first steps on the lunar surface marked the pinnacle of the space race. For the next few decades, NASA continued to pioneer space exploration, with programs like the Space Shuttle, Voyager probes, and the International Space Station. However, by the early 2000s, NASA faced budget cuts, aging infrastructure, and a shift in political priorities. Meanwhile, the private sector began to stir. In 2002, Elon Musk, fresh from his success with PayPal, has a bold new vision: to make humanity a multiplanetary species. To achieve this, he needs to dramatically reduce the cost of space travel. His answer: SpaceX. But this was no small feat. At the time, only a few government agencies had ever successfully launched payloads into orbit, and none of them were operating with a startup mentality. The early years were marked by significant challenges. SpaceX began the development of the Falcon 1, a small, partially reusable rocket. The goal was to create a low-cost vehicle capable of reaching orbit. The first 3 attempts ended in failure. The company faced financial ruin, with Elon Musk investing nearly all of his personal wealth to keep it afloat. In 2008, with only enough resources for one last attempt, the pressure was immense. Then on their 4th try, Falcon 1 successfully reached orbit, making SpaceX the first privately funded company to do so. This milestone secured a $1.6 billion contract with NASA to deliver cargo to the International Space Station and catapulted SpaceX on the map.
So what we're looking at over there, that's a quarter section of the Falcon 9 17-foot diameter fairing. It's 17-foot diameter, obviously, and 50 feet long. It's capable of taking the largest satellites in the world, and it could actually literally fit a city bus in that fairing. It's that big, because that's just a quarter section of it. It's made of carbon fiber. It's very lightweight, and uses the most advanced analytical techniques to optimize the mass. So it's actually, I believe, the lightest weight fairing of its kind as well. What we're looking at here is the Dragon spacecraft pressure vessel. So it's almost done. We just need to do the forward and aft bulkheads. It's actually upside down right now, but you can see the main hatch, some of the windows. The actual common berthing mechanism where it berths to the space station is, well, right there, because it would ordinarily be the other way around. And this is an actual flight fidelity article that's going to go through full qualification testing.
Next, the Falcon 9 and Dragon spacecraft. The Falcon 9, named after the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, and its 9-engine configuration was designed to be more powerful and fully reusable. The Dragon was developed to carry cargo and eventually crew to the ISS. By 2012, SpaceX had successfully launched the Dragon to the ISS, becoming the first commercial spacecraft to do so. This achievement marked a turning point in space exploration, proving that private companies could play a critical role in space missions traditionally dominated by government agencies. But perhaps the most revolutionary step was yet to come: the self-landing rocket. The traditional model of spaceflight from the early days of NASA to the Space Shuttle program had one significant drawback: rockets were expendable. Once launched, the stages would fall into the ocean or burn upon re-entry, resulting in a single-use, costly process. Musk realized that if rockets could be made reusable like aeroplanes, the cost of sending payloads to space could be reduced by a factor of 10 or even 100. The idea of a reusable rocket wasn't new, but implementing it was an engineering challenge that had never been successfully achieved. SpaceX began working on this with the Grasshopper program in 2011, testing small-scale rockets with vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. The concept was simple in theory. After delivering its payload to space, the first stage of the rocket would reignite its engines, slow its descent and land vertically back on Earth. To accomplish this, SpaceX had to develop several new technologies. First, they needed advanced grid fins for aerodynamic control during descent. These grid fins, which look like waffle irons, unfold after stage separation and help steer the rocket as it falls back to Earth. Then there's the Merlin engines, that are capable of reignition in space and precise control of thrust during descent. The rocket also required sophisticated software algorithms that could calculate landing trajectories and adjust in real time to variables like wind speed and weather conditions. Finally, the landing legs, 4 carbon fiber and aluminium honeycomb structures, deployed just before touchdown to provide a stable base for landing. After many failed attempts and some spectacular explosions, SpaceX made history on December 21, 2015, when a Falcon 9 first stage successfully re-entered the Earth's atmosphere and returned to Earth, landing upright at Cape Canaveral. The control room erupted in cheers, knowing they had achieved something no one else had. This was the first ever orbital class rocket to be recovered intact, demonstrating the feasibility of reusing rockets. The success continued with the landing of Falcon 9 rockets on autonomous drone ships in the ocean, earning SpaceX the reputation of being a true pioneer. The economic impact was immediate. By reusing rocket components, SpaceX was able to lower costs significantly, charging far less for satellite launches than its competitors. This move began to democratize access to space, making it more affordable for governments, companies, and research institutes worldwide. By developing reusable rocket technology, SpaceX didn't just lower the cost of space travel, it changed the entire business model. The company began launching more frequently, winning contracts from NASA, the US Department of Defense, and even international customers. Meanwhile, the company set its sights on an even bigger goal: Mars. The Starship program, a next-generation fully reusable spacecraft, is being developed to eventually transport humans to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. NASA, now faced with a dynamic private partner, shifted its approach. Rather than competing with SpaceX, NASA began leveraging its strengths. Programs like the Artemis mission to return humans to the Moon are partially dependent on SpaceX's Starship vehicle. In fact, SpaceX won the contract to build the first human landing system for Artemis, further solidifying its role in America's return to lunar exploration. The partnership between NASA and SpaceX has created a unique synergy. SpaceX brings agility, innovation, and a willingness to take risks, while NASA provides decades of experience, a wealth of scientific knowledge, and access to critical funding. Together, they are redefining what's possible in space.
has done really well is capture the imagination of the American people through branding and really exciting things. Launching, for example, a Tesla, which is still in deep space, orbiting the sun.
Yeah, I mean, that was a case where, like, normally we do a first test flight of a rocket, normally like a block of concrete would be launched.
Right.
Because you don't want to launch anything valuable that could get destroyed on the initial flight. So the initial flight of Falcon Heavy, the team was originally going to launch a block of concrete. It's like, guys, it's hard to get the public excited about a block of concrete. Okay, it's just so like what's something like, you know, that's an image that's going to really stick in people's minds and resonate.
So what does this new dynamic mean for the future of space exploration? Is SpaceX truly competing with NASA, or are they working in tandem toward a common goal? While NASA is a government agency with a mission to explore space and expand human knowledge, SpaceX is a private company driven by profitability, innovation, and Elon Musk's vision to colonize Mars. These differences create a unique dynamic where both organizations push each other to achieve more. NASA continues to focus on ambitious projects like the Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon by 2025 and establish a sustainable presence. Meanwhile, SpaceX is developing the Starship, a fully reusable spacecraft designed for missions to Mars and beyond. Both entities rely on each other. NASA provides funding, resources, and experience, while SpaceX brings speed, cost-effectiveness, and cutting-edge technology. So as we look to the future, the question isn't necessarily who will win, but rather how both NASA and SpaceX will complement each other to push humanity forward. SpaceX's focus on reducing the cost of space travel through innovation and reusable technology could make space more accessible than ever before. NASA, on the other hand, brings decades of experience, scientific expertise, and a broad mission mandate that includes everything from Earth science to deep space exploration. Together they form a powerful partnership, driving us forward toward a new era of discovery. But there are still challenges ahead, political, financial, and technological. The competition between NASA and SpaceX may ultimately benefit humanity, leading to faster advancements and more ambitious missions. So who's winning the new age space race? Perhaps the real winners will be all of us, witnessing the dawn of a new chapter in human history. A chapter where the stars are no longer just dreams, but destinations. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the new age space race between SpaceX and NASA, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more exciting stories from the world of engineering. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And remember, per aspera ad astra.